Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last prophet in the world. They call him as Al-Amin, which means trustworthy, long before he was appointed as a messenger.
The Prophet Muhammad is a very good example for mankind. Prophet Muhammad received his first revelation on 17 Ramadan and was appointed as a prophet at the 40 years old.
عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رجلا قال للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أوصيني قال لا تغضب فردد مرارا قال لا تغضب. Narrated from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, a man asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, give me a will. He replied, don't be mad. He repeated that a few times. He said, don't be mad. So it is clear from this hadith that Rasulullah repeated it a few times, the importance for us to actually don't be mad. And it is clear that a bad character is not a part of Islamic teaching.
Attitude as an example in order for us to become a more knowledgeable person in a holistic way.
Of the natural gen brought especially
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إنما بعثت لأتمم مكارم الأخلاق, which means that he was sent to perfect our good manner. It is clear from the hadith that I have mentioned that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to us to perfect our own character, our good character.
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a prophet and messenger who has admirable character. Him an honorable man who is willing to forgive the offense of others.
Is married and he had 12 wives, and he led a very normal life like any other married man. And out of all of his 12 wives, I think I would like to talk about his relationship with Sayyidina Khadija, his first wife. Of course, there's a 25 years age difference between the Prophet and his wife, but they led a very normal life, and I think they had 5 children. And I think it was narrated by Anas that the Prophet ﷺ said, of all women in all worlds, these are enough for you, meaning they were the best women. And these women are Maryam, daughter of Imran, Khadijah, daughter of Walid, who is his wife, Fatima, his daughter, and then Aisha, wife of Farah. And these are the best women of all the women in the world. And of course, Khadijah was second. There was one occasion that the Prophet was talking, and then Jibril came to see him, and Jibril actually whispered because Khadijah was about to come to see him, and what Jibril said to him was that Khadijah is on his way to see you, and when she comes, offer her salam, and then respect her, give her respect, and tell her that she will be promised paradise.
Subhanallah, 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 Subhanallah.
So Khadijah was a very special woman to the Prophet, and as you know, even Aisha, being the youngest wife, at one time felt that very jealous of when the Prophet spoke of too often of Khadijah, and then asked the Prophet ﷺ whether there is any one else that he would love as much as Khadijah, and why did he love Khadijah as much as she was. And the Prophet said, well, I loved her because she believed in me when no one else did. She accepted Islam when people rejected me. She helped me, comforted me when there were no one else to lend me a helping hand. So that's very important words of the Prophet when Aisha asked him about the woman she loved.
He's a very soft-spoken man and very kind towards women and children. In a hadith, the Prophet say, I am the best among you, and I am very kind to my wife. In another hadith, it was say that the Prophet loved children. He kissed his grandchildren and hugged them.
That the relationship is very special. And in today's world, how many wives of today would stand up, would be there for the husband in good time, in bad times, and I think there would be many wives who would stand by her husband in good times, but to stand by her husband in bad times is something I think which is very difficult to find today. Khadija was someone who was able to comfort Rasulullah after Rasulullah had the first revelation in Mount Hira, and that was something which is very important, and to him, when no one believes him, Khadija believed, and in today's relationship, I think husband must be able to get the wife trust. The wife must be able to believe in the husband in that form that Khadija had believed in the Prophet.
Prophet showed the love and attention, especially to subordinates and those who are very weak. Prophet usually hang out and work with the poor. So we as an ordinary people must follow the characteristic of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
His relationship with Aisha. And of course, Aisha is among his third wife, but he's the youngest wife of all the Prophet's wife. She was very young when the Prophet married her. And in fact, when she came to live with the Prophet, she still played with dolls. She still played with her friends. And there was one occasion that, and the Prophet is, despite the fact that the age different, he was 45 and she was only 9. And he was able to appreciate what she went through, and when she was playing dolls, the occasion that he actually played with her, and there are times that when her friends was in the house, and when the Prophet came back, Aisha said, "Why didn't you go now? Because my husband is at home." But the Prophet said, "No, you can stay on and play, go on playing." And having that understanding and that is very important in a married life, and I think Aisha was a very good example where the Prophet was able to understand her youth, her intelligence, and that was very important to the Muslim Ummah, because in the end, because she lived for quite some time with the Prophet and were able to learn a lot. Prophet's married life is an ordinary life, as I said, like anyone else. There are good times, bad times, and one of the bad times was when Aisha was slandered, when there was a gossip that because at that time she was on her way back to Medina, and they were traveling and they stopped over, and then the Prophet, where she was left by the group of people who was going back to Medina, and then she was met by Safwan, and because of that there was a lot of gossip, and the strength of the gossip had caused her to left the Prophet's home. She went back to her parents and well, hoping to get consolation, but in the end the Prophet came. But of course, fitna or slander, very bad, could cause a lot of things. In modern days it could cause divorce, and of course it had affected the Prophet's house himself. In the Prophet's case, the marriage was saved because Allah had given a wahyu, said that Aisha was innocent. But in ordinary day life, I think as human being, we are not free from gossips. We are not free from people who are envious of a very good married life. So I think as human being, following the Prophet's examples, we have to be able to look at the Prophet's examples of his married life and his relationship with his wife, and that's very important for us to keep a better life in this world.
I am a Muslim because Muslim who emulate the Prophet are very nice people.
To treat people kindly, speak softly, nicely, and being kind, that is Islam. Glad tidings to people, that is Islam. And this is what Rasulullah SAW taught us.
Every Muslim should take him as an example and have honesty as Rasulullah SAW.
To honor him is to love him, to teach about him, to know about him, and to learn about him.
By following his sunnah, that is one of our way to show our love to him. Sallu ala Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Thank you.
Love.